Good morning, everybody. Just gonna wait for some people to tune in. How's everyone doing? Hi there on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in live. I'm going to wait for some people to tune in. And while they're tuning in, please feel free to comment, put a comment, say hi, tell me where you're tuning in from. I'm in sunny Florida, Lake Mary area, which is the suburbs of Orlando. I'm actually working from home today. My kids are home for, parent-teacher conference or something like that. So got to stay home with them today. But I was like, I'm definitely coming live, to talk about a good topic for you guys. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Ayesha Chidolue. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients in all 50 states in the United States with their family immigration matters. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Alaska or North Dakota, New York, Florida, I can take your case. As long as it pertains to immigration. So before we continue, I would love for you to share this live on Facebook, on YouTube and Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever, you guys use for technology, TikTok, just so that, they can tune in. Because I think this topic is going to be very beneficial to everyone in general that is in the immigration process, doing any kind of marriage-based case, whether it's marriage-based because you're in a happy marriage or it's marriage-based because, you're divorced. And our phone number here is 407-995-6567. It's also scrolling on the ticker on YouTube and Facebook, on Instagram. You can check in my profile and you will see my phone number on there. Okay, so today I want to talk about proving that, and while I'm talking, by the way, please feel free to ask your questions. I say this every week, but I know some people are usually shy in the beginning to ask their questions. But feel free to ask your questions in the comment box. I'll try to get to all of them, or as many as I can, once I go over some of the things that I want to go over. So I want to talk about how to show that you have a bona fide marriage or a good faith marriage for immigration purposes. So I'm going to first talk about, marriage as a whole. And then when I'm done talking about that, I'm going to talk about, an added step for those who have, experienced abuse and, proving that cruelty and things like that. So, and for those of you who are new to immigration or wanting to understand what a good faith marriage means or a bona fide marriage means, basically, when you submit a petition to immigration saying that, you're married to a U.S. citizen, green card holder, whatever, saying that, you're trying to be a green card holder, one of the things that they want you to show is that you have a good faith marriage, meaning that you entered into your marriage in good faith and not to circumvent the immigration system. And so there are a couple of things that they look at to make sure that this marriage is legitimate. So I'm going to break them down into like three core areas, which is, matters of the heart, joint ownership of property, and financial entanglement with your spouse. Of course, one of the key requirements is, having, of course, your marriage certificate, and also having a divorce decree if you have been divorced before. I need to emphasize and put heavy emphasis on this divorce decree, especially certain countries in Africa, like Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, and all these other countries. Well, it doesn't matter what country you are from. You want to make sure that your divorce decree is legitimate. And not one that is, well, someone helped me to get this divorce decree, so, I don't really know what they did. Because even if you have a bona fide marriage, if they find out that your divorce decree is not legitimate, meaning that you didn't properly do the divorce, they would say that you're technically not free to marry, so you won't qualify. So you want to make sure that you're either present, and that your divorce decree is valid, or if you're not present, that you have a trusted legal counsel that is handling, that can register it wherever it needs to be registered. Okay. So let's get that out of the way. So I'm just going to go through like a list of things that I would consider good faith. So a lot of times when, you don't have a lot of stuff, especially if you're doing, and this would apply more to people doing consular processing, meaning that your spouses are outside of the United States. I always recommend an affidavit or a declaration from the U.S. citizen or the green card holder that is petitioning for that person, which tells a story about your relationship and how you met, right? You know, about how you met the person, how you guys fell in love, how you guys decided to get married, things that were momentous that you remember, or your favorite things about your relationship, because, you know, it sets the tone that there is a relationship and a relationship exists amongst the two of you. And again, I'm focused, this good faith here I'm talking about are things like, you know, matters of the heart. Things like, you know, if there was an engagement of any sort, you want to have pictures from your engagement. If there was a honeymoon, you want to have pictures from your honeymoon. If you had a wedding, you know, so weddings are a bit tricky. So depending on if you had a wedding ceremony, like an actual ceremony, either at the mosque or at church or at you know, wherever, where you wear a wedding gown and there are quite a few guests, you know, please, by all means, share those pictures. If you had a reception with people there, share it. I mean, in the world we are right now, and it's a bit more difficult because of the pandemic. So, you know, a lot of people are not having like large weddings, but if there were people in attendance at your wedding, share that. If you had only a court wedding, where it was just you and like two witnesses, your pictures of your court wedding is not going to carry as much weight as someone who had a public, you know, wedding and a public event. So for you, you want to make sure that you have more pictures over the course of your relationship. Something I see all the time, and I talk about this all the time, you know, people will send selfies of themselves like kissing their spouse or like posing with a ring or whatever it is. They don't care about that. They want to see pictures of your everyday life, not posed for immigration purposes. Your everyday life, you guys went out to dinner with friends or whatever it is, you take pictures. You went to a friend's Thanksgiving barbecue. Okay, people don't have, well, July 4th barbecue, Memorial Day is coming up. So like you go to Memorial Day barbecue, take a picture. But you know, you want to also take pictures with people in it. Because when you take pictures with people in it, you know, it endorses your relationship. It's saying that your relationship is not one that's being hidden, that your relationship, other people know about your relationship. And then also, you know, in the world of social media, people post about their relationships all the time. They post pictures of things they do with your spouses. They post about their spouse's birthday. So if you do have Facebook, you know, or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is your social media platform is, you know, post about your spouse, you know, post about each other, post about your life. If you, but I will give you a cautionary tale about Facebook because they can check your Facebook. So don't go saying that you're filing for marriage and that you have free and single, I'm living it up on Facebook, or you're with other women or other men on Facebook if you were, you know, filing for that. So you want to be very careful about your Facebook and make sure your Facebook truly accurately reflects your marriage. Some other ideas are emergency contacts. So emergency contacts at your place of work. Like, so, you know, if you work, list your spouse as your emergency contact, list your spouse or your, you know, as your children's emergency contact. Even if you guys don't share children together, still list each other as emergency contacts. Guys, I know I'm going up and down because I have two screens, so I'm trying to focus on both of them. And I promise you guys, keep putting your questions in here because I'm going to answer all your questions and say hi to everybody once I finish this. Let's see what else. And then, you know, hospital or medical records. So, you know, if you guys, if anybody went to the hospital, you know, sometimes when you go to the hospital, I think almost all the time you have like a emergency contact or whoever to, you know, reach out to. Definitely have each other's names, school records, business ownership. If you guys own a business together, if you have like a small side hustle, you know, and stuff like that, and your partner is, you know, either like a member of the LLC, good way to do it. And then, of course, if you have children, birth certificates. I know there's some people, you know, and especially moms, please don't do this. You know, don't out of spite not list your the father of your child on the birth certificate because you're angry with them or you just feel like they're terrible people just because, you know, you're upset and stuff like that. But, you know, if things are going well, please list your child's spouse. Well, you should list the parents of the child on their birth certificate. And then, of course, income taxes, make sure that you're filing together. You can't be married and filing head of household. I mean, obviously, there's sometimes that people have to file married filing separately, whether, it's for tax benefits. One person owes taxes, one person makes a certain income, and the other person needs to show that their income is less. That's different if you're filing married and filing separately, but please don't file single or head of household if you're married. Let's see. And then I'm sort of entering now, the taxes is sort of entering into the commingling of financial assets. So of course, your taxes. Another thing is your joint bank accounts, getting joint bank accounts. And if you get a joint bank account, don't have it be dormant. What do I mean by dormant? Don't open an account that only has $100 inside it always, meaning nobody's using that account. You want to make sure that you're using that account for your everyday life, going to grocery shopping, paying your AT&T bill, your T-Mobile bill, or whatever, bills that you guys have. I mean, I'm not saying pay all your bills from it if you have other accounts that you use for your bills, but just make sure that the account is active and active from both parties, if both of you, let's say, when you're filing, you guys might not have had a joint account, and then eventually the other person gets a social security number, and, they start working, and you can do like a direct deposit, both of you direct deposit into the same account, and then, plan out your family, however you want to plan out your finances. Another thing is joint lease agreement. So, having both names listed on the joint lease. If there's a problem with like Social Security, or the person doesn't have an ITIN number, one of the things that you can do is you can have them list them as an occupant, like, so the way that they list children, like sometimes, when you rent a place, because your kids don't, they're not of a certain age, they may list them as additional occupants. Some companies will let them do that, once you explain your immigration situation to them. Another good one is insurance. So health insurance, dental insurance, eye insurance, life insurance, right? So in all of those health insurance, if you have health insurance through your job, try and add your spouse. A lot of times, even without an SSN, there are ways to work around it to add your spouse to your health insurance and your dental. And if you don't have a way to work around it because your own company maybe is a bit more strict about it, then once they get an SSN, you have what we call a qualifying life event, and then with the qualifying life event, you can do it that way. Add them there. Life insurance, you want to try and list each other as beneficiaries. And again, this list is not an exclusive list, meaning that I'm not saying they have to have every single one of this, but I'm just giving ideas because, I get DM'd all the time, about this. So I just want to give you guys some good ideas of different things, that could work for you. And then, things like rent receipt, utility, gas, electric, water bill, cable, phone bill. Those are also good options for you. Joint credit card statements. If you guys have any kind of credit card that you both use, that's good. And then let's see what else. Okay, so then so matters of the heart. Matters of the heart are, of course, things like your proposal, pictures of great times together, ring receipt, if you purchase an engagement ring or a wedding ring, a honeymoon ring. And then matters of the heart, you also want to be prepared for your interview. If they ask you questions like, when did your husband propose? When did your wife propose? Where did they propose? How many people were at the proposal? How many people were at the wedding? How many people were at the reception or invited to the reception? You want to know those things because to them, they look at those things as monumental occasions in your life where those are things that they don't expect you to forget, or like names of each other's children, especially when you don't share children together. I know some people have a hard time remembering birthday names and stuff like that, but try your best in this situation to try to remember that. So now that I've sort of covered a good portion of examples. Oh, some other things, actually, no, let me add some other things. Other good things would be like WhatsApp messages. Like if you guys, send loving messages to each other, or even if you send your spouse on an errand, oh, honey, can you pick up some bananas for me on your way back home? can you go get some groceries, or can you help me buy, whatever it is, just to show an ongoing relationship between the two of you guys. And then, let's see. So now that I've talked about, sorry guys, I'm just like scrolling through Instagram. So once you guys have all that marriage base, I'm just going to cover the additional evidence that is helpful when you are in an abusive marriage. So, we just talked about a good marriage and all these, wonderful things that you should have. So with an abusive marriage, you should have some of those things to show you have a bona fide marriage. Another critical piece for you if you're in an abusive marriage is to show cohabitation. It doesn't matter how long cohabitation, for those who don't know, it means that you lived together. It does not matter how long you stayed in the same house together, but show evidence of cohabitation. Sometimes part of control or abuse is that they don't want you tied to anything financial because they want to control you, or they don't want you to have a lease, just as a way to, they don't want you to have any evidence of your marriage so that you cannot get a green card. So with those cases, one of the most critical piece of the evidence is a client declaration. A client declaration is a test, is basically, the other word for it is testimony. It's your testimonials of your relationship, right? And the pattern of abuse that you've experienced, because nobody else can tell your story the way you can tell your story. You understand? And then, of course, any screenshots of any kind of negativity between the two of you guys, back and forth, insults, cursing out, kicked out of the house, whatever. Sometimes some spouses want to put their business on social media and curse out the other spouse. Screenshot that bad boy before you block them, screenshot that so that you can have a copy of that. And then let's see, what else? Sometimes I get clients, oh my goodness, my computer is beeping so much. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So as I was saying, so sometimes some people get so angry with their spouse, they literally delete every evidence of them to, just, as a way to heal or recover, and I know it's hard, but please do not delete them. Go print them out, screenshot them somewhere, save them somewhere before you do that. Because, when you are filing a petition, you're going to need these things, especially if you don't have evidence of the actual physical harm or a police report. Because a lot of times with emotional and psychological and mental abuse, it is very difficult to have evidence other than something that the person is doing that can affect you emotionally. Like, if you have somebody, sending you a text, your wife sending you a text of, oh, check this guy out, he's more handsome than you, he gives me better, whatever than you, he's better than you, I see all sorts, guys. But the point is, like, those things, even though they're just words, those, I don't know if you guys have heard the word, what they say about words are like swords, or is it like bullets or like weapons? Like sometimes they can slice and dice you more than any physical push. And it can really make you question your own existence and who you are as a person. So those types of things, you want to save them. You want to save any kind of order of protection, if there's any kind of restraining order, if you ever reported anything to the police, save that as well. And then also, if you called the cops before and you didn't get a police report, you want to call them and try to get a police report. And then also, if you have friends and family who you confided in and know what you're going through, they're also a good group to write an affidavit of support on your behalf with the knowledge of what they've experienced. When they write affidavits, it's good for them to write how they know you and what they know that has happened. Let me see. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list, but hopefully this can at least get you guys on the right path and help you not have like skeletal applications where you submit and you've really submitted nothing. in there, because, I'm a firm believer in making your packet, when I say packet, your application, strong from the get-go. You want to come up guns blazing where like all your stuff is together. Like, you're not getting a request for additional evidence. Obviously, it's not going to be the same for everybody. Some people file when they're still newly married, so they may not have acquired as much stuff, but try and acquire that stuff over the course of while your case is pending, so that so that when it's time for an interview, you have it all together. All right, now the floor is open, and put your questions in there. I'm going to go through and answer them. Hi, Ruth from Texas. Thanks for tuning in. Macedonas from Washington State. Thanks for tuning in. Bio. Hi from Atlanta, Tochuku. Tabitha says we had to do justice of the peace. I know. Well, the pandemic is just really hard, to do something else, but that's fine. Still have documents of your marriage. Document everyday life. Even if you're indoors, because of the pandemic, document as much as you can. Okay. So Tabitha asked, how much does everything cost? I would suggest a consultation with me, because costs vary depending on what it is that you're doing. I always like to have a consultation to determine what you qualify for, and then take it from there. The number is 407-995-6567. Mumbali says, great conversation. I'm glad. Guys, share this. This is a good live, so share this live. I'm telling you, a lot of people, this is really helpful for them. Tabitha says, yeah, we have a joint bank account. Awesome. Now make sure you're spending on your bank account, okay? So Morgan Tracy says, I'm still on my biometrics from last year. Haven't heard anything as of yet. So Morgan, did you already have your biometrics, or are you saying you've not had your biometrics at all? And well, what did you apply for? What kind of benefit did you apply for? Let us know in the comments. Okay. Okay, so this person says, if you submit your biometrics with the application, I-360 and 485, would you have to do biometrics when you get approved for the application? It's not possible. You can't submit your biometrics with your I-360 and 485. USCIS is the one who issues the order for you to do your biometrics. So because of the pandemic, for some people, they're going to waive their biometrics. For some people, they must do their biometrics. It depends on what they have in you in the system. And for some people who were waived last year, we're seeing new biometrics notices for them due to obviously, the pandemic slowing down, so like they're able to do it. Let me take some questions from Instagram. So Everblessed on Instagram says, hi, Ms. Chidolue. I have a friend that got an AOS, NOS stamps in their passport. Can they still get their papers? Yes, they can. Let's see. I know there was one I wanted to answer. Where is that question that I saw? I know I saw that question. Just let me, where is it? Okay, I can find it. Okay, so this person says, what if you don't have any more additional evidence? If they should ask because you've been separated, then that's what it is. You give them all you've got, and hope that what you have is enough. And so it also depends on if you have a marriage-based case or a vow-based case. With marriage, it's less. There's less of an excuse that you can give, because you're married. You should have things together. And then with vow-based cases, obviously part of abuse is the lack of stuff that you have. So it's just convincing them that part of the reason why you don't have all those things, especially those financial entanglements or whatever, is because you have an abusive spouse. Yeah, okay, I found the question. So somebody was asking, if you're married to someone out of state, and that's on Instagram, that do you still qualify? So you can be married to somebody out of state and still get your green card. Now, let me talk about the caveat about that. You better make sure that if you're married to somebody out of state, you have a pretty darn good reason why you guys don't live together. Because i.e. either the person has a medical school there and you have this job that you're supporting both of you. I'm not saying everybody should be a doctor. I'm just using it as an example. There that you can't. But if you have a basic job, meaning a job that you can get anywhere else, it's going to be really hard to explain why you didn't relocate, right? Sometimes some people cannot relocate because maybe they are bound by child custody issues where they can't take their child and their primary custodians for their children. So just make sure that, you know, you have other things to show that you have a bona fide marriage. You know, you guys are videoing each other every night. Like, you have screenshots of like all your chats every single day. You're driving to go see each other, flying to go see each other, you know, and you have receipts and invoices and proof that you're seeing each other, you know, you're, you know, texting and all of these things, and anything else, you know, to show. Because I mean, yeah, you know, long distance marriages happen, you know, everybody that consular processes has a long distance marriage. So you just really have to try your best. You just really have to try your best to document your relationship, even though you guys do not live in the same state. Somebody, Mauricia, says, my work permit returned without my advance parole. I need to travel. What can I do? Well, you cannot travel without an advance parole. So what is happening this year, and this is something that is new this year, not really sure what the logic is behind it, but we're seeing that people are not getting advance parole at the same time they're getting work permit. A lot of times they'll get their work permit, and then, you know, a couple of weeks later, they'll make a decision on their travel document, and it comes like in a slip with their picture and stuff. It's really new. I really don't know why they're doing that. It's irritating to me, if you ask me, but because it's a waste of, you know, paper. Just put the same thing in one card like they do before. But I don't really know the reason why. But if you do not have an advance parole and you have a work permit, please do not travel out of the country, because you will not be able to come back in. Someone says, please, what is the difference between your case is being reviewed and your interview is scheduled immediately after, and your interview is scheduled? Oh, Lizzie, I don't understand your question. I mean, if I'm to try and understand it, basically when your case is in review, it means that it's in review. It's not yet ready for interview, but it's, or sometimes they will even say something like, we've received everything. The next step is we're going to schedule you for an interview. It doesn't mean they've scheduled you for an interview. The only time you know if they've scheduled you for an interview is that it's going to say, we've scheduled you for an interview. If you don't receive the interview notice by this date, please contact us. So that's the difference. Somebody says on Instagram, Ty, I just filed an I-485 in an abusive marriage. Can I still file for VAWA? Because it's getting worse. Absolutely. Call us 407-995-6567. You don't have to stay with your abuser. You know, you can self-petition yourself and get your 10-year green card. Okay. Tabitha says, we've been married almost a year and he hasn't been approved for anything. He has his cosmetology license that's valid from South Korea. Yet here in Austin, they're telling us that he can't get it switched over yet because we're having an overload of work orders. So I'm not sure, Tabitha, what you're saying takes a few weeks to a month. Definitely not immigration. I understand what you're saying. It's very frustrating. And I have clients who I'm very frustrated from. And they're also frustrated where, you know, because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of excuse to delay people's things. Like, if I could rush everybody's stuff, I would rush everybody's stuff. But there's just so much backlog, you know, from the biometrics office. You know, let me put it in context for you guys. You get hundreds of thousands of immigration applications every day. And the biometrics office was closed from March until July. And so from March until July, so many backlog, which was what allowed them to start doing the bypass. But some people have not entered into the immigration system before. So theirs couldn't be bypassed. And those people had to be scheduled for biometrics. And in order for you to get certain things, you need the biometrics or biometrics bypass, like, you know, your work permit, you know, your travel authorization and all those things. So, you know, it's just one of those things to exercise patience. I know it's frustrating. And, you know, I see here you also commented that you're scared for deportation. But, you know, as long as he has his I-485 pending, knock on wood, you know, you're okay because you are in that pending status. Okay. So Keisha asks, you know, can someone petition based on spousal Abandonment, absolutely. You can petition based on spousal abandonment as long as it rises to the level of extreme cruelty, which, one could argue that it does, depending on what and how it makes you feel. And, I would make an argument that spousal abandonment just doesn't happen, meaning there's usually something that's already critically wrong with a relationship that affects the relationship, that if one digs in, there's more stuff that can be found out there. Okay. Okay, so let me see. Instagram. How long do you have to wait when your case is ready to be scheduled for an interview? Honestly, as long as they want. Yeah, as long as they want, unfortunately, hopefully you don't have to wait longer and it will come soon, but there's no timeline for that. It's just a matter of when, they're ready to schedule it. So Ricky's on Instagram says, excuse me, good morning. I have a question. I did my interview last year and they had sent for an additional evidence in August of last year and my wife is not cooperating. What can I do? Rick, I would suggest a consultation. Let's see what's going on. And I would suggest a consultation with just you, not your spouse, to see what's going on in your marriage that she's not cooperating based on something that she knows is critical to you being married to her and being able to live in this country with her. Because I suspect there might be other things going on. My number is 407-995-6567. Love on Instagram says, how long does it take for one to get work authorization after filing for VAWA? Well, so if you file your VAWA with adjustment of status and you file it properly and use the right category, most of the time it takes 6 to 8 months. When I say 6 to 8 months, there's no guarantee. I'm just giving you an average. Sometimes some people are lucky and they get it before that. Sometimes some people are unlucky and they get it after that. But I will say that majority of the people get it somewhere in that 6 to 8 months window. So hopefully you're one of the lucky people. Okay. Somebody else on Facebook asked, if my spouse relocates to the state that I'm in, where would be best for us to file? In the state where we're living or where he has his assets and business? You should be filing where you can receive your mail and where you live. So if you guys live in, state A should be where you file. Is that where you do your everyday life? Meaning, is that where you have your mortgage or your lease or your car notes or your car insurance or your driver's license? That's the state you should file in. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, somebody says on Instagram, I've applied for an I-485 before and got denied. Now I'm reapplying. Will I be required to go for another biometric? The only person that can give you that answer is USCIS. We don't control or know who they bypass. They usually let us know who they bypass. So it's possible that they may bypass you, and it's possible that they will have you schedule. Okay, so let's see what else I have here as far as questions on Instagram. Okay, it's so much harder to read this Instagram questions. All right, let's see. Okay, so let me see on Facebook. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anybody else. And then if I've gotten everything, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll probably jump off. Let's see. Okay, so Tabitha says right now his passport is still valid, but he's now classified as illegally here because he's an overstay. He's not an illegal. I hate the word illegal. Tabitha, I'm sure you're new to my page because you'd know that I don't like to use the word illegal because nobody's really illegal, meaning that he's stayed here. He has what we call an unlawful presence, right? So if he's overstayed, as long as his I-485 is pending and you, Tabitha, are a U.S. citizen filing for him, he is okay. So even if his passport is valid, and this is also a common misconception, let me clarify that. Sometimes when I ask people, when did your when did you come into the country? And, they tell me, and then they say, well, I have a 10-year visa. And I'm like, USCIS doesn't care how many years you have your visa. What they care about is what your I-94 stamps. So if your I-94 says that from September, you entered in September, March, you should be out. That's what they care about. If you're not out by then, your 10-year visa doesn't matter, right? Because you accrue unlawful presence every day after the date that the I-94 says. And if it reaches 6 months of unlawful presence, then you're looking at a 3-year bar if you leave the country. So the bars don't apply until you leave the United States. So for you, because Tabitha, your husband, and you are married and his stuff is pending, he's technically okay unless he gets denied. But hopefully he doesn't get denied. Okay. Let's see. So this person says, I'm an immigrant. I'm gay. I'm married to a U.S. citizen. Can I file for VAWA? She's very abusive. We have a child. Okay, so Nomagni, I'm not sure I understand because I don't know if you're a female or male or what, but call me, schedule a consultation with me. Let's discuss your particular matter, 407-995-6567. But for the question, to those who might want to know, if you're gay and if you can qualify for that, yep, same sex, as long as a same-sex marriage is valid, where you got married, and if you got married in the United States, in your state, you're good. So somebody said, is the marketplace public charge? I signed. Okay, so the public charge rule, the main public charge rule has actually stopped. And that stopped in March, so last week. So actually, for those of y'all who are going to try to file your forms yourself, do not do it. But if you do it, you want to make sure you check the forms that you're filing because they're new forms, and they're going to start rejecting forms from April 19th. So it says, I signed an affidavit of support for a friend. Will I have to pay back? So it really depends on what your friend takes from the government. Obviously there's some exceptions to the rule, but at the core, the things that they're looking at is, SNAP, food stamp, cash. How like sometimes they have like those public benefits for cash, and things of that nature. The government can come after you if they take any of those things. You have exceptions for things where like a pregnant woman takes Medicaid, while she's pregnant or up until 60 days after she has the child, or if the person taking Medicaid is under 18, or if you had a medical emergency that's properly documented. So those are exceptions. Chantal says, I have a consultation with you tomorrow. I hope to get good news. I hope so too. So I use a lawyer. Love says, I use a lawyer to file for VAWA in January. And yesterday I called my lawyer and I was told it takes 2 years before I can get my work authorization. Before I filed for my VAWA, I was already asked to leave the state because my husband withdrew the petition after we went for the interview. Until date, I haven't seen him or heard him. So Love, when you say you asked to leave the state, are you under deportation? Because that changes things a bit. And your lawyer will probably be right if that's what happened. But call me, if you want to find out more clarification, because I don't want to get into the details of your case online. But you can call me 407-995-6567. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Somebody on Instagram says, do you have to be married to a U.S. citizen in the USA to be qualified for VAWA, or outside the country qualifies as well? For if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, the abuse had to have happened while you guys lived in the United States. The only exception is if you're a military spouse, where you can't control where you live because, you're going from point A to point B. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so Charmaine says, my husband went for his citizenship last year, January. He was denied. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He started back the process in October last year, and USCIS sent a letter saying he does not need a new biometrics, that they're going to use the first one he went with in January, but waiting for another interview now. Yeah, so that's an example of bypass, a biometric bypass. Tochuku says, please review my question. Tochuku, I can't see your question. There's so many questions here. Okay. I see it now. I'm assuming there's a question. Thanks for putting me on blast, Tochuku. So let's see what you're saying. So my spouse works in a hospital in Dallas, and she's having issues with the custody of her child with the father, but I work and live in Atlanta. Do I go ahead and get an apartment here in Atlanta with our names on the lease and file from Georgia? So I cannot tell you where to live, right? I can only tell you that if you cannot move to Dallas, you better have a pretty damn good reason why you cannot move to Dallas, knowing fully well that she can't move due to the custody of her child. It better be because of your career or something else that you're not going to have that same opportunity there. And outside of that, you also want to make sure that you have very heavy documentation showing that you guys have a legitimate good faith marriage. If you joined in later on in the live as opposed to the beginning, go back and watch this live when I get off, because I'm pretty detailed about evidence that helps your case. So make sure you have some of those stuff. And I talked about long distance relationship, but I can't tell you about, who and who to put on the lease, or whatever it is. You're going to have to decide that on your own. Okay. All right, guys. I think somebody said, what are the chances of getting an expedited visa, K through a tourist visa, while waiting for an I-130 approval? That it's tough. It's tough. I mean, is there a medical emergency? There has to be a really good medical emergency, humanitarian reason, and you can try your luck if there is. Okay, let's see. What else? I think I might have covered. Good day. How soon after divorce can you remarry if the first marriage didn't work out? Is there a time frame being an undocumented person? Girl, you are ready, or guy, I don't know if it's a girl, guy, you're ready to jump in, huh? Well, there's really no timeline to love. Love is love. When you fall in love with somebody and you want to get married, you get married. You just want to make sure that, there's no appearance of impropriety. Like you're not, it's not that, oh, I'm just trying to marry from one U.S. citizen to another U.S. citizen to try to get my papers. Just make sure that you're entering a legitimate marriage and that, you guys are documenting your marriage, and its legitimacy. But there's no real timeline to when you meet the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Love says, what does it take to transfer my case for you to handle it? I'm broken at this point. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. Call me. Let's see. I gotta see what's, going on in your case. Believe it or not, I don't take every case that I get, every client or potential client that comes to me. It has to be something that I know we can win, and what's going on in it. So I would prefer to, speak with you and see what's going on, and then we can talk about if we can transfer it or not. So call me. Support. Somebody says, suppose you're married, but your job is sponsoring you. Is it wise to take the sponsorship then do your green card after? Honestly, it really depends. It depends on you. If your job is sponsoring you, and your job already has the resources to do it, it makes it easier for you, because you're not dealing with a conditional green card or proven bona fides of your marriage. And that way you and your spouse can release yourselves from the pressure of feeling that, this person, I wonder if they're with me because, I'm, I don't have my papers, or I'm a U.S. citizen filing for them. So, you just have to weigh both of them. But you want to make sure that the job is actually really filing and not just, saying they're going to do it. Okay, somebody says, I'm a male, gay, married to a woman. Well, so why are you, so you will have some scrutiny, Numgeni. You definitely have some scrutiny explaining that. But call me, let's talk and see why are you married to a woman? Let's see. What happens if the beneficiary withdraws a pending I-485 due to divorce and already have an EAD, and then I-130 is not withdrawn? Towson. So a beneficiary is the person who is not the green card holder, or the U.S. citizen. So I don't know if you're mixing that up. Are you trying to say a petitioner, meaning the person that's sponsoring their spouse? So if you're a petitioner, what you withdraw is the I-130. The I-485 is the beneficiary, the non-U.S. citizen's petition. The I-130 is the petitioner, the U.S. citizen's petition. Now, if the beneficiary, who's a person benefiting from that green card, withdraws their own petition, as such, everything tied to it, including the employment authorization and the I-131, becomes null and void, unless they have another application they're filing and they can refile again. Okay. Okay, guys. I think I've got everything answered. Thank you, guys. You guys had some really good questions today. Okay, let me answer this last question. And I will be out. When you receive a letter from USCIS that you get another letter for appointment for a biometric date, please, I just want to know, does it take months or weeks to be called for the biometrics? Every case is different. Every case is different. It depends on what kind of case you're petitioning for. It depends on what state you live in. It depends on whether there's a backlog. It depends on so many variables. So there's literally no deadline or timeline. It just depends. It really just depends. It could take months. It could take weeks. So somebody on Instagram says, you guys don't want me to leave today. I'm trying to log off and you guys keep asking me all these questions. Okay. So someone on Instagram says, if someone received an RFE, we're unable to determine who completed the I-864. However, it was initially submitted and signed by the petitioner. What do we need to do? So that's very vague. You know, with something like that, I want to read it myself to see what exactly they said. And if you have a copy of what was submitted, to see, because you know, either the wrong person signed in the wrong spot or you didn't enter all the information needed. And was there a joint sponsor as well? So your question is a very detailed question. Ben Badchini on Instagram, call me and send me the RFE once you schedule an appointment. Excuse me, and I'll go over it. My number is 407-995-6567. Hannah on Instagram says, thank you. So I appreciate you, my beautiful lawyer. I received my work permit. This is Hannah from North Dakota, Fargo. Yay. We're always happy to help our clients who really never thought that they had a chance or an option, you know, because, you know, you never know until you ask. Guys, stop being afraid of lawyers. Call us, you know, if for nothing else, for peace of mind. Somebody said they got an intent to deny. You got an intent to deny and you responded. So what happens next is they're going to review your response. If it meets what they need, they will go ahead and approve you. If not, they will send you a decision, which, you know, may be a denial. So, you know, hopefully you get an approval and whatever you send is good enough. Okay. Thanks for, Emmanuel says, thanks for answering my question. God bless. I'm from Portland, Oregon. Hey, Portland in the house. Okay, guys. Let's see. Instagram. I see these questions, but I have such a hard time figuring out how to answer like in the question box on Instagram. I'll learn Instagram very well soon. Okay, guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Any questions I didn't answer, please call me 407-995-6567. Don't be afraid to call a lawyer. You know, like, you know, I always say, honestly, what is your peace of mind worth? Like, speak to somebody. Like, you know, don't go to Google, don't go to Uncle Ray Ray or Auntie Jane or cousin this. Oh, this person told me this, or a notarial. Come to the people who do this every day and live and breathe this. You know, I have a vested interest in making sure that we get as many immigrants immigrated to the United States as possible and being here, you know, legally and with their papers. I'm an immigrant myself, so I get it, you know. All right, I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday. Have a great day. Bye.